Hello there, I hope you're having a wonderful time. This is Nuhu Nui Sungjano Ayuba, and beside me I have Victoria, who is going to accompany us today. Alright, today on Interaction on Facebook, I will take a question from Maina Marcus. What were the major challenges you encountered over the years in Brazil? How were you able to overcome them? Do you still have challenges, or the course is finally clear? Well, Maina, this is a very interesting question. Actually, there were few challenges when I came here because you know how our system is in Nigeria. It's very hard. So when we come here, we find it easier. And at the inception, the first challenge was language. Anyone coming from a non-Portuguese speaking country faces that problem. Even those coming from Portuguese speaking country, they have to adapt because the Brazilian Portuguese is a little bit different from the Portuguese you have in Portugal, okay? And when I came, I immediately went to the classes. So imagine you speaking English and then attending classes in Portuguese. It was really interesting, all right? But a long time, you will have to adapt. The challenge there is for you to, study harder, while your colleagues maybe will study like twice a week. So you are obliged to study like 5 times a week, or even 6 times or 7 times. In my case, I would study all the week, all right? I would have to do so many things at the same time, studying Portuguese and the subject at the same time. So it was really tedious at the inception. But a long time I adapted and I understood the language. There are so many English books in the library, so you have access to English books, although the tests and the exams you write them in Portuguese. Okay, so along line, Portuguese has been part of me. I had to learn it because you need to use it all the time. You use it in the university, you use it outside the university, you use it anywhere. You just learn the basics and the writing rules. You know how to write, let's say an essay or an article, and you're done. Okay, you don't need to know the whole structure of Portuguese because it's very extensive. Okay, it's an extensive language, and to learn it, perfectly takes a lot of time. Imagine someone who acquired the language, an adult learning the language. I found it hard in thermodynamics. I think I had to repeat the subject because it was hard. You had to understand the language. In one of the tests, I didn't understand, what the test was saying. So I spent a lot of time trying to interpret the text. Before I knew, it was over. So I traveled to Nigeria, I think that year, and I bought a book in English. I read the book, and it was over. So I think that the greatest challenge is the language, right? The greatest is the language, and if you are focused, you're not gonna find the subjects very difficult, although they're average. Sometimes it scares you. The minimum is 7. And 7 in Nigeria is when I came here, they told me that you have to score a minimum of 7 out of 10. I said, my goodness. I was thinking, how would I go back home? Okay, that was almost impossible. I heard from the colleagues, they were talking about the subjects, they were talking about the course. And some of them were saying that it was impossible to finish it in 5 years. But I remember my trajectory. I had traveled about 8,000 kilometers. That's not summing everything because you have how can I say, connections, right? You go from Lagos, you go to South Africa, then you come to Sao Paulo. From Sao Paulo, you take another plane, you go to the extreme northeast. That's where I stay. So I can't, I'm not here to joke. So I have to focus and then deliver what I am here to do. So that was exactly what I fixed in my mind. After that was it. I started studying, planning my studies and executing everything. So I would hit the above 7, some 10, some 9, But the thing would become difficult when you get to the third year, okay? Third year actually. From the third year to the fifth, it's very difficult. So your points kind of reduce from there because there are specific subjects and some of them are not that easy. All right, so another challenge, I don't like talking about the second challenge, but obviously we can't neglect the fact that you face some discrimination. That's racial discrimination. All right, so it affects people. Some people are reluctant of this key problem or key challenge, most especially to exchange students or people coming from Africa, or black people in general. So I faced this challenge a lot. It affected me, but you have to take that challenge as something that would make you better in anything. You take that. You don't just cry all the time while you're discriminated, but it was really tough. Forming groups, being seen as someone who had the capacity was very difficult at the inception. So and there were stereotypes that you would feel that people are trying to see, and most of the stereotypes they have about the continent, they are negative ones. So they think you don't have much to offer to them. All right, so that affects you. You try to do something, people doubt that. They doubt your credibility, your personality, and your intellectual capacity. All right, people doubt that. So it affects you a long time, because in science you need people around you. You need to work in group. So that ends up isolating most of the, like me, I ended up isolating me. And today, it's one of the effects I feel, this little isolation, because I had to do it alone. That's just a challenge that we can solve as a continent, as a people, as a group, as a race. We can solve that problem, but we can't overlook that. That's a big problem, right? So if you want to come, put it at the back of your mind that there's no how you're not going to see racism or discrimination. I prefer to call it racial discrimination, because some of them they don't know the Africans. All right, they just have that picture, that mediatic picture or a stereotype, right? So coping with the problems is something that is human. Adaptation is human. So when you go to a place, you're bound to adapt. All right, so I adapted quickly. Talking about the system of education, one of the challenges I also had was to adapt to the method here, because we have like a share, like a 50-50, between research and extension. The research has to do with theory, what the extension has to do with practical, right? Someone would do a case study about something, and the students would write about that, right? So sometimes you find those characteristics in some of our institutions, but we are mostly formed in the theoretical aspects. So we have this deficit of let's say mixing the two together. And the curriculum also counts when you have production, and your production is something I can say is not just the A's you obtain, but you can do a research, find an answer some questions related to the problems in the society, and that aggregates to your curriculum. While in Nigeria we value the first, second or second class, upper or whatever it is, right? Someone can be in the third class and could be the answer to the problems of our society, but we neglect, or we're reluctant of those classes, thinking that they cannot contribute to the society, which is different. right? Although here average also matters, but this aspect of, combining research and extension together is very important.